The earth has remained from the time of creation, the church patiently awaiting its end. At the sound of thunder, the Lamb opened the seals. The four horsemen were released, and the apocalypse began. A crown to conquer, a sword for war, a balance for famine, and death with hell to follow.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Ancient Echoes. My name is Bronson. My brother's name is Austin. And tonight, man, we're going to be doing something a little bit on the different side. Normally, we hang out in the book of Genesis as we've been going through our commentary. But tonight, we're going to be on the whole other side of the Bible doing our very first episode in the book of Revelation. Austin, man, it has been a busy week. We've had holidays. We've had days here in Carolina that have reached something like 103 because of humidity. It has been tiresome, bro. And you were in a different location today. You've been busy too.
Yeah, we are up here in Raleigh, North Carolina for a AAU tournament. My son's playing, so we're out of town. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we have only dropped one video a week ago, which is very, very slow for us. So we're coming off of the 4th of July week and traveling around a little bit, but we're about to get back on the grind. We got two that's going to be coming pretty close together. We're going to be doing this one and going back into Genesis and starting our kind of saga on Abraham. So yeah, we've got all kinds of stuff going on, and be looking forward the trailer for our documentary, kind of a sneak peek to it coming up this week also. We're working on that too. So we're working behind the scenes, so you guys might have not seen us as much, but we got a whole lot coming, and when it starts to come, it's going to flood. So I'm just excited tonight. We're going to be talking about the four horsemen of the apocalypse and the first four seals that are broken by the Lamb. So Bronson, you want to go ahead and get into this? We're going to start tonight in Revelation.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah. I've missed you guys, by the way.
Oh man, yeah. We were just talking before we hit the record button that this is, no matter what time of night it is over here, dude, we just enjoy doing this type of stuff.
We do. Everything else seems to be a little bit burdensome, but when we finally get back to the Word of God and making these videos, it feels right and makes me feel at home away from home.
Yeah, really, truly it does.
This hotel is awful, guys. Our ceiling just fell out in the bathroom, and I want to convey how irritated I am. I went ahead and spent a little bit of extra cash to get a hotel that wasn't on the low side, and I thought we got a nice place, and it's been rough, man. It's been rough. My son looked at me and said, man, this place is like Sodom and Gomorrah, and it has been. We've had trannies passed out in the stairway. We've had, all kinds of stuff going on outside, and now our ceiling in the bathroom is falling out. So maybe next time I'll just go with the cheap place and just expect this garbage. But it's been eventful, man. It's been real eventful.
That's hilarious, man. Well, I know you guys have been super busy, dude, so I just want to take a second to say thank you for out of your busy time. I know you're out there doing the basketball with your oldest son, so taking time out of your week to do all this, man, is really, really cool. So I appreciate you doing it.
All this is fun, man. To tell you the truth, it's hell, you're busier than I am. To be honest with you, you're working your butt off. I'm having fun. I'm on vacation from work, but we're doing basketball, which I know I really haven't talked much about me, but as a kid, that was my first love. We're from North Carolina. Basketball, man. I'd sit on the yard, play for hours, and it's fun to watch him, man, and he's really doing it good. He's got his head on his shoulders, and it's exciting, man. I really, really enjoy it. So it's not a burden for me at all. The only burdensome thing that I can possibly complain about is this trash hotel. But other than that, it's been good, bro.
That's
All right, let's get into it, man. We always
Let's-
start with the Bible. So, Bronson, if you would lead us off, we're going to go ahead and read through, I believe it's eight verses that talk about the four horsemen here in Revelation. And we're going to go ahead and go through it.
let's do it, man. So we're starting here in Revelation chapter 6, and it reads, "And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse. And he sat on him, and had a bow, and a crown was given unto him. And he went forth conquering and to conquer. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, Come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, Come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Now, guys, we understand that we're kind of jumping right into Revelation here. So, as we read through these, each time that one of the seals is opened, one of the beasts say, Come and see. So let's backtrack just a tick and let's just show who these beasts are, just so we aren't just like, if anybody's watching, we always say we try to go into this like for people that have been Christians or into this for 50 minutes or 50 years. So let's go back a little bit and just show who these beasts are.
Sure. So, John gets taken up into heaven, right? That's your rider of everything. And he goes up to see the throne and the creator. And next to this throne, this is where you get your sea of glass. And there are 4 beasts that are full of eyes before and behind. And they sit round about the throne. The first beast was like a lion, and the second beast like a calf. And the third beast had a face as a man, and the fourth beast was like a flying eagle. And the 4 beasts had each of them 6 wings about him, and they were full of eyes within. And they rest not day and night, saying, Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, which was and is to come. That's where you get that very famous song that everybody knows. And when those beasts give glory and honor and thanks to him that sat on the throne, who liveth forever and ever, there are 24 elders, not the subject of today's video, that cast their crowns. And I'm pretty sure Casting Crowns is the band that did that song. Could be wrong, but these are the beasts.
For sure.
yeah. These are the beasts that sit around here, and those are the ones that tell John, Come and see. And this is something so cool I'd never noticed before until we ran through this together. You were saying these beasts kept saying, Come and see. And for some reason, I'd always just figured it was the same beast, but it's not. He sees the first one, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one. And it's very thought-provoking. So I wanted to lay out this thought here, and we'll continue more on who the Lamb is and where the seals, what that means and whatnot in just a moment. But these 4 horsemen are something that everybody knows. Non-believers, believers, everybody knows the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. What's so strange here is that you only get 8 verses on these entities. You know what I'm saying? That to me is just the wildest thing, that something so famous and something so I guess notorious, if you will, only gets 8 verses in Revelation.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have a whole video game series. I don't know how many of you guys out there play games or have kids that play games, but the Darksider series, each one of those is based on a different horseman of the apocalypse. And I mean, they built that whole thing on that. It's very Gnostic games, and they have, different fallen angels like Samael and everything in it. But the four horsemen of the apocalypse, even in like wrestling, you had the four horsemen there. It's such a thing that's prevalent in culture that it's crazy that in Revelation it only has the 8 verses. Now, there are other places, it seems, and we will talk about that a little bit later. But let's go ahead and keep breaking this down a little bit. Now, when we talked about each one of those beasts, one of the 4 beasts saying, then the second beast said, it makes me wonder if there's, some correlation between these 4 beasts and what's going on with these 4 seals and these riders.
I agree. And when we looked at this, um, unfortunately, there is no smoking gun. You know what I mean? And that's one thing that I both love and hate in certain scenarios where it's like I love that there's room for exploration and imagination, and um, you can do all sorts of work with the Bible to try to link verses together. But when there's no smoking gun, it's just hard. But when you think of that white horse is given a crown to conquer, and then you
Lions, the
see,
king of the jungle. Yeah.
yeah, the first beast is the one that says, "Come and see," and he's like a lion. And you think, okay, lions are, and especially in the Bible, talking about a lion talks about being proud and being strong, and
But then you get to that second beast, man, and it's like a calf, and then it's like war. Like, man, when I think of calf, I don't think war. You know what
I
I
don't
mean?
either.
But
Yeah,
we've kicked around different ideas, and maybe talking about like the statue that Nebuchadnezzar saw, with the gold head being the lion, and
right.
kicked around some ideas like that. But um, we're gonna have more on Revelation going forward. But I think something's here, and
Mhm.
there's a reason why each one of these beasts say, come and see. You know what I mean? It's not just like Gabriel saying it over and over and over again, or like in Enoch when he's with who's he with there? Sorry,
Talking about
drawing a blank.
Uriel.
Uriel. Yes, thank you, saved me. I kept wanting to say Ariel, but it's not. Sorry, y'all. But yeah, it's Uriel each time saying, "Come up here, come and see." You know what I mean? So instead, it's each one of these beasts. So I think we're going to dig a little bit deeper in that and see what we can find, guys. We've been looking at this for a few days in a row and just trying, but we don't have a smoking gun, like Bronson said. But I did want to point that out because a lot of people miss that each one of those beasts say that for these 4 riders. Now let's go back to 6, and we can kind of show that there, so we're not saying it, but they can, everybody can kind of see now that we've pointed it out that each one of these has a different beast that says this.
Yes, yes. One of the 4 beasts saying, "Come and see." That's in verse 1. Down here in verse 3, I heard the second beast, "Come and see." Next is in verse 5, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And then in 7, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And if we want to stay on the topic of the beasts for a second, dude, we tried everything. We went to Ezekiel, right? And we were saying, okay, they got different faces and stuff. Maybe these are similar to Ezekiel, but there were different faces. And you
Yeah,
pointed out something that I thought was really, really cool, that they had different amount of wings. The 4
yeah.
beasts in Revelation have 6 wings.
Yeah,
And
in Revelation they have 6 wings and 1 face, and then in Ezekiel they have 4 faces and 4 wings. So
yeah,
what we're looking at is 2 different types of beasts here. We have a really cool teaching coming up on that too, about where these are and the difference between these beasts. So be on the lookout for that coming up. Also, before we get too far into the video, we have a poll going on. So we are going to do the video that you guys select. So you got I think a day or two maybe left on it, and we've had several votes. So if you guys are interested in having your say in what kind of content we put out, please go vote in the poll. I think on Saturday we're going to end it. So um, whenever you guys are seeing this, if you haven't voted, go ahead and vote on it, and we're going to put out whatever you guys vote on.
yes, yes, yes. I think we're tied right now for Solomon and the Antichrist is
Here, I'll
where
pull
it's
it up
at.
real quick. I'm looking at the channel now, guys. So if it looks like I look funny, that's what I'm doing.
Gotcha.
Let me refresh. So make sure all votes are counted. All right, let's look here.
while he's doing that, I'll take a second to say I really appreciate the amount of interaction and engagement we've been getting on that stuff, man. I think our first poll we ever put out when we first started, we maybe had like 6 or 7 votes or something, and this
Yeah.
one was up in the 20s, and it's like, all right, man, we're getting some interaction here, and this
Hey,
is
and guys, if you didn't like Satan's little season video, you gotta vote.
yeah.
we gave choices on it. That's what everybody that voted wanted to see. So that's the one we did. All right. So just an update on the poll. We are at 26 votes. Matter of fact, Bros, I'll tell you what. Why don't you pull it up on yours so the people can see?
I'd be happy to. I'll just switch accounts real quick. Switch account. Your boy's been watching.
Just to be a little side note, we won't be here for a while, but yeah, just for the people that really interact on our page and everything else, we want to at least show that hey, we are paying attention to it, even though we're traveling and everything else. We do keep an eye on everything. Let's see here.
Here we are.
26 votes, tied right now. Antichrist and Solomon. So whichever one you guys want to see, and we also have witchcraft and entertainment and transhumanism. I was kind of hoping for transhumanism, man, because I got a lot in the bag for that one. That's going to be a banger whenever we do something like that. Also, witchcraft and entertainment.
Yeah.
So I was kind of hoping for transhumanism because just for me, I like the conspiracy stuff, and not that it's conspiracy, it's conspiracy fact, not conspiracy theory. But the Antichrist or Solomon would be cool too. It'd be really cool.
Yeah, I've got a lot for those two, man.
Yeah,
a lot.
Solomon has always been a high interest to me. So, and the Antichrist is always cool, man. It's always really good to talk about. But yeah, that little side note, guys, we just want to talk about that. But hey, I think Saturday we'll stop the votes on that, man. And whoever wins. So if you guys have an opinion on which of those four you'd like to see, please let your voice be heard. Whatever you guys want to see, we will do. All four of those are interesting subjects. What do you think, Bronson?
Oh man, I love them, man. I absolutely love them because you have so many different points of views on all of it. I mean, everybody's got an idea for who Antichrist is. If you remember, like Rob Skeeb always says, from 2008 to 2012, I mean, everybody swore that Barack Obama was Antichrist. Yeah. And
I've seen a lot of Donald Trump as the Antichrist memes going around online.
Oh yeah, I remember when he first came out. Before everybody was still saying it was a joke, or he's not really going to be president. And back then, everybody's like, he must be the Antichrist. He's the Antichrist. It's always I mean, it's good. It's good that people are keeping their eyes open and watching and stuff. It's not a bad thing at all.
There's definitely something funny with Trump. No, just full disclosure, I'm voting for Trump. You know what I mean?
Got you.
I've voted for Trump the past 2016, 2020, and I'll do it again in 2024. And if that makes you mad, you're going to have to give me something other than that witch Hillary Clinton or senile Joe Biden if you want me to not vote for Trump. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but I'm not voting for those two.
Yeah.
Especially Hillary. If you think, there's no way. No way. No. So, I mean, if you're mad at me for voting for Trump, you got to give me something better. Okay. I know Trump's not perfect. God knows that. But, and there is a lot of weird things there. That's Adventures of Baron Trump. And if you guys don't know what we're talking about, we might do a show on that. Let us know in the comments if you're interested in that. But, yeah. So there's a lot of weird stuff there, too. I mean, when it comes down to the elections in the United States, you can either not vote or you're voting for whichever Luciferian you think works best for you. That's basically how it goes. So
that's a big fact, man.
Yeah, like I said, and not to say that I think Trump is a Luciferian, but there is some weird stuff going on there. But yeah, I mean, if you want me to vote for somebody that's not Trump, you got to give me something better than what's been put out there.
It's a good idea to always keep your eyes open for everything. I mean, we have the parable from Jesus where it talks about the virgins who had fallen asleep, and some of them prepare their oil and their candlesticks, and some of them don't. But what's interesting to know is that all 12 of those virgins are asleep, and it's one person, a watchman, who wakes them up. And so if you are that watchman out there who's always looking, always skeptical, always criticizing what you see out there, man, good for you. Because
You gotta
Lord
be,
knows.
even if you like one or the other, or however, whichever one. Like, even if you're like the biggest MAGA person in the world, you gotta hold his feet to the fire, just like any other politician, to make sure that the will of the people's done. You know what I mean? Be loud on social media. We're all a bunch of little worker ants and bees. So I mean, but the more of us, start making a buzz about something, things happen. And that's the one thing about Trump. He does care about how people view him. He wants to be loved, and he wants to be like the next head on head on Mount Rushmore. He does want that. He wants to be like that. So that's something that the people can use to their advantage with him. You know what I mean? He does not. He loves poll numbers. He loves his numbers being high. I've watched almost every speech the dude's ever done. So believe me, he mentions it 2 or 3 times per speech. So that's something that is a positive about Trump, that he does want the people to love him. So if he does something that's wrong, if enough people make a big enough fuss about it, he'll course correct.
Right, right. And I'll say it like this, man, because I mean, one thing I love about our channel is that you and I, even though we're brothers, we were raised very, very similar, and et cetera, we have a couple of differences, and that's what makes the channel cool, is that we have differences, but we never argue about any of this stuff. But I am not a voter, and I don't put a whole lot of weight into that type of stuff. But I will say, I had a great time when Trump was president, bro. That was some of the most entertaining, interesting times of my life, for many, many reasons. But he was, dude, I would laugh and laugh. I mean, the things he would say,
It's
the
funny.
memes.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was amazing. Those thug life Trump moments were awesome. Those are good videos, bro.
Yeah.
But but this is the type of stuff you talk about when we're in the book of Revelation, because we're talking about, down the road eventually, horns and waters and many peoples and kings and kingdoms. And so it becomes a touchy subject, and it's not one that anybody, neither you or I are here to cast stones at anybody. We're sinners like everybody else. But like you
Yeah.
said, everybody's under light. Everybody's under investigation when it comes to Revelation. Even my own soul is under investigation when it comes to Revelation. We always have to continue to run ourselves through the ringer and make sure we get out every leaven, all that leaven and all the dross within the silver and the gold. And it's it's a hefty book, man. Revelation is one of those books that, um, this might be a hot take on the topic, but I think sometimes it's a little overread, and I don't mean that in a bad way. At any time you read a book in the Bible, I think it's great. I think you could be doing a lot worse things with your time. But I was telling you before we got on camera that this is a book that I really do believe takes knowledge of the other 65 books, to have a whole lot of understanding and know your major prophets, minor prophets, your Torah, your epistles and gospels and all that, because it all accumulates up into this one book. And so
Yeah.
it's
There,
lofty.
there's a lot that we have to go through. Like we always tell you, we're not your teachers, but we do love the Bible, and we love getting into it, and we love sharing what we find with you guys. Um, we had to kind of hit the brakes on this one to make sure that we get everything right, because we don't want to tell anybody something false or something that is wrong or anything else. And so we're doing a lot of deep diving in this. But for now, let's just get back into it, man.
Yeah.
Let's kind of just keep it pushing on this a little bit, because I know I kind of got us off there with the poll, but I do want everybody to participate in that. We do want to. All 4 of those are good subjects. So if you guys want us to talk about any of them, we want your voice to be heard. Now, Revelation, we're going to be doing a full commentary on that, just like we're doing in Genesis. But there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of tackle some of this and to look at what's going on and maybe give a little clarity on what's happening in the world and why it's happening.
Sure.
Now, when we get into the second seal, and we've talked about each beast for each one, let's go down to the third seal, the
Sure.
famine. So we had, let's start at the top again one more time. Let's just read the titles here. So we have the rider on the white horse with the crown and the bow. Then we come down to the second seal, war, with the sword. And then the third seal is famine. And I know we've talked about this before, but this is one of the things, and I know somebody got on us for saying King James is the best translation. I think you misunderstood what I was saying. King James just doesn't have all the verses removed from it like a lot of the modern translations do. I think we're going to do another show, for another plug here, to, between the LLX and the King James, because I think those are, which is the LLX is the Septuagint, if you know it by that. Because I think those are the two most beheld translations in the Christian community. If I'm wrong, let me know. But a lot of the other translations, especially the newer ones, remove a lot of verses, and that's not cool with me.
No,
don't like it at all. A lot of the newer ones change like firmament to expanse, which is garbage in Genesis 1. Don't like it at all. So there's a reason why we do the KJV, but this is one of the things here. And I know the name of God was changed to God or Lord. I get all that. In the KJV, totally get it. But right here is one of the things that bother me is when it says, I heard right here in Revelation 6:6, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou not hurt the oil and the wine. Now, when you read that, it's like, okay, so a measure of wheat for a penny, so what? It's not like that translation completely changes the way you see this verse. I cannot stand it. If we can pull up the definitions here, I know we've done this in a previous video, but I don't know how many people saw that. So when it says a penny here, what that's saying is a denarius, okay? And that was, for at the time, a full day's work was you got paid a denarius.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to read a little bit of that. Yeah, down there at the bottom it says in the vineyard. It would seem that a denarius when then the ordinary pay was then the ordinary pay for a day's wages. So let's just, instead of thinking penny, think about every bit of money you make for a full day's work. Okay, so let's go back and read that again with that in mind. So a measure of wheat, which would be like a quart, I believe, is about how much it is. A quart of wheat for a denarius for a full day's work. 3 measures of barley for a full day's work. So you're working all day long to barely make enough bread to feed anybody in your household, and that's all you have money for is for that. It's a full day's work, not a penny, because that makes it think that everything's cheap or something, like it's easily available in our modern mindset. So I do not like that translation there at all. That's one of the things in this that I did want to point out, because that's in the KJV. That's very misleading.
Yeah, it surely is, like what you said, in the modern mindset, because to us a penny means something else, whereas in the 1611, when this would have been translated over, a penny would have been something completely different. You know what I mean?
Similar, I assume similar to a denarius.
Yeah.
But I like to point that out whenever we go through here, man, because that is just so misleading.
I'm glad you did, man. When it comes to these horses, if we go back up here, I know sometimes I have a tendency, because I get excited, is all it is. I just really enjoy the Bible, and so I rush into things, and sometimes I hear my instructor in my head tell me, slow down, slow down. And so I wanted to take a second just to talk about this section here and what this means. The Lamb opened one of the seals. What we're looking at here, I always try to imagine things in my head and try to see things in my head. I'm a real visual type of thinker. I know some people think with words or colors or whatever, but I always wondered what that meant, seal. And I always thought it was like a big old gate or something, and God's opening up these gates for people that are sealed or whatever. And what it is that there's a book here, okay? So we're going to go back in the previous chapter just to help you get this image in your head. If you're like me and you just see an image, is that there is a book written within, and on the back side, it is sealed with 7 seals. And no one is worthy to open the book. No man in heaven, nor in earth, nor under the earth. Nobody's able to even look at it. And what happens is that one of the elders says to John, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals. And so if you think about an old book, you may think about a rolled up piece of paper, and that piece of paper would come unraveled, right? And so you take a little bit of wax and you would actually press it where that paper folds over, a little visual here. So paper folds over, right? And as it folds over, you would stick down wax like little pieces of staples, if you will. And so there's 7 staples keeping this paper rolled over, but it's a wax seal. And no one can remove these wax seals except for the Lamb. And so we see that once these seals are starting to be removed, then that book starts to get open. And each time a seal is removed, something I can only describe as supernatural happens. Now, I suppose this is maybe the section of the video that we can talk about what these horses are. And I can ask your opinion, you can ask mine, and we can speak about other people's opinion. But in Austin's world, when you hear white horse, red horse, black horse, green horse, do you see like in your head, do you see like horses riding through earth with a sword, or do you see something spiritual happening? I mean, what does it mean?
Growing up more evangelical and in Baptist churches, and watching John Hagee or whatever, a lot of the different sources to get information from when I was a kid, they weren't super great, by the way, but you hear all kinds of things that the first horse is Jesus. The first rider on the white horse is Jesus with the crown and the bow, going around spreading the gospel. You also hear that it's the Antichrist. And that was the one I heard the most as a kid, because the argument against it being Jesus is that Jesus is the Lamb that's opening the seals, and as he's opening the seals, these riders of these horses are coming forward. I think I may still be in the Antichrist camp with that. I don't know. That is the only one that makes me think that it's actually a person on the horse. So it comes down to whether it's Jesus, which I know a lot of the commentaries we looked at said that, or the Antichrist to me. Now, I could be wrong on that. I'm not dogmatic on that. So, let us know in the comments below what you guys think. Now, when we get to these other ones, though, like war, it seems like these are just phases. Like more, just ramping up, like as these seals are being opened, it's, gearing up for this scroll to be read and the end times to really take place. It almost seems like it's a primer, getting the world to a point to where, the end times can really kick off.
Wow.
That's what it seems to be to me. Now, like I said, I could be wrong. I've also heard that these are different eras that take place as they're being open. It's really hard for me to lock down when the era of war would be, because there's always been war. It's hard to lock down when the era of famine is, because there always has been famines. The potato famine, lots of different famines. Okay, and pestilence. Now, as we go down, pestilence, death. Fourth brother to kill with the sword and with hunger and with death and the beast of the earth. So hunger would also be, famine. I've heard a lot of people say that this fourth one is Islam. You know what I mean?
There's man, yeah.
We saw one earlier, when we were doing our research that said this is North Korea.
Yeah.
I don't know where that came from, but okay. I'll tell you what, man. These 4 horses are mentioned, or at least these, the plagues that come with the 4 horses are mentioned in other parts of the Bible, and that leads us to our first clip of the night, guys. I know it took us a while to get to it, but let's take a look at this clip, and then we're going to dig into what the Old Testament has to say, and let's see if we can get some answers tonight, because I don't have very many answers right now without some other sources.
All right, here we go. Quick sound check, okay?
Look how they grimly fix their gaze on the horizon. Their windblown hair signals velocity. At the same time, the hair streaming above suggests a sky heavy with the clouds of a gathering storm. The horses lower their heads, as horses do when they clear a jump. As we look up at them from below, they seem to be hurtling over a precipice. Where have the horsemen come from? And what is their mission? In a historical sense, they come from the Hebrew Bible or Old Testament. Although Revelation is part of the New Testament, many scholars regard Revelation as a continuation of the prophetic tradition of the Hebrew Bible. The writer of Revelation was steeped in the writings of the prophets. About 2/3 of Revelation's 404 verses refer to one or another of the Hebrew prophets, and particularly to Ezekiel, Daniel, and the one we see here, Zechariah. Here we see Zechariah in Michelangelo's fresco for the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. Even though the book of Zechariah was written 500 years before Revelation, the two scriptures have many elements in common. Both prophets meet angels who guide them through a series of mysterious visions. John has a vision of 4 horsemen, Zechariah with 4 charioteers. Here we see Zechariah's vision in an engraving that Gustave Doré created for an 1866 edition of the Bible.
Wow. I was really, really glad that this video brought that up, man. When I went through some of the commentaries over the week, just trying to see what other people had to say about the 4 horsemen and what their thoughts were upon the matter, I was very, very happy to see how many people brought up Zechariah. I have I suppose, a different way of studying things than what other people do. I'm just a strictly Bible guy. I mean, it sounds kind of silly because we make videos on it, but like you said, we're not teachers, we're commentators, we're just dudes with a laptop. But I don't go to anybody, I don't listen to anybody. And sometimes it's to my hurt because I only have just my brain. I talk with my fiance, I talk with you, and that helps a lot to have other people around. But I really thought that there was not a whole lot of people that knew about this verse in Zechariah. And when I saw other people bringing it up, I was like, okay, cool. These are sources I can talk to and listen to because they're not just in Revelation. They're using other books to build the case for Revelation. And
Right.
this is really cool here. So it's also in Zechariah 6, which is neat because we're in Revelation 6 at the same time. So it starts here in verse 4. And this is, if you're unfamiliar with the minor prophets, Zechariah has been taken up in kind of like this vision here where this angel is showing him some cool things around the throne room, little, vials and candlesticks and whatnot. And so this is just kind of sets the tone if you're unfamiliar with this. So the angel shows him these horses. And so here we are, Zechariah 6:1. And I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, there came 4 chariots out from between 2 mountains. And the mountains were mountains of brass. And the first chariot were red horses, and the second chariot black horses, and the third chariot white horses, and in the fourth chariot grizzled and bay horses. Now, I already know if you're paying very close attention, grizzled and bay is not pale. I understand. So, but what is interesting here,
It could be interpreted as that, though. Some people say gray, and that could
Yeah.
be pale. And a lot of people say the 4th horseman in Revelation is green.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is what it is, man.
it
But
is.
yeah, let's keep going down here.
Here we go. Then I answered and said unto the angel that talked with me, What are these, my Lord? And the angel answered and said unto me, These are the 4 spirits of the heavens, which go forth from standing before the Lord of all the earth.
All right, so right there is the 4 spirits of the heavens that go forth from standing before the Lord of all the earth.
Yes.
Okay, now, it makes you wonder if those beasts have something to do with these 4 spirits.
You gotta wonder.
You know what I mean? There's some correlation between these 4 spirits and those 4 beasts that were telling John, come and see. And each one of them had a particular horseman that they were like announcing to John. So, that's another thing there that really, really seems to mesh well with Revelation.
Yeah, it sure does. Now, what's interesting is that the order and the color is not in the same order that we see in Revelation, but the fact that these are 4 spirits really starts to kind of bring some type of element of understanding to Revelation. Whereas, as a kid, when I was still listening to what other people had to say about the Bible, the white horse is Alexander the Great. It's Attila the Hun. It's everybody.
They
And
all have to do with Rome in some instances.
yeah,
I tell you what, man. Let's go to that first picture just to show. There's
sure.
a lot of crazy stuff out here. So let's put a little levity in this. All right. So this meme, just call it what it is. It talks about the 7 seals, and we're dealing with the first 4 tonight. The last 3 of them, we are going to get into maybe in an upcoming episode next week, or maybe it may take a little more time to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row in it. There's a lot of confusion surrounding this, and everybody has a different opinion, guys. There's not I don't think there's very few scholars that have the exact opinion on this. So the first one says the Antichrist is crowned and released. Okay. I don't know about that. You know what I mean? I said maybe that's where I'm at, but I just don't know for sure, guys. And I don't want to tell you something that, oh yeah, I definitely believe this because I don't have a dog in the fight.
Yeah, I'm kind of weird on that one too, man. Because I'll save a lot of my opinions for the Antichrist video, but
Yeah.
one that I'm real weird about certain terminology. You and I talked about this the other day. Is that we just slap that title onto every individual, and I'm real weird about certain things like that. Not because I'm dogmatic or I die on hills or whatever. I'm not telling other people how to live their life, but to me, when we're talking about Antichrist, we're talking about the son of perdition, the lawless one, and that's who I would call the Antichrist.
Yeah.
So,
and just so you know, we don't agree with this meme. We're just showing you this to show all kinds of different ideas. All right, The second seal, which would be war outbreak from Israel. Well, I didn't see Israel anywhere in the text. That I just didn't. Didn't see it at all. Number 3, money market collapse. Well, I didn't see that either. I saw famine, which you could definitely make that case. But as me and you talked about last night, anytime there's a war, there's typically famine that follows because of infrastructure. Supply chains are gone. A lot of people killed. Merchants, that you depended on for your commerce or whatever it was in the ancient world. Say if you have a salt guy that comes from the Silk Road. Well, if he gets murdered in the war, who's the salt guy? Where do you get your salt from? You know what I mean? That type of deal. The funniest one to me, well, it says Dome of Rock destroyed. Where does it say that in the text? The funniest one to me is number 4. When death is released, North America is taken down by North Korea. Okay, this is Revelation 6, 7 through 8. So let's go to Revelation 6, 7 through 8.
Right here. Open the 4th seal. I heard the voice of the 4th beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name was Death, and hell followed him. Power was given unto them over the 4th part of the earth to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth.
Okay, so where was North Korea and North America? Where are you getting this from? Book, chapter, verse on that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So let's go back to that list again. So this is what we mean by everybody has an opinion, and sometimes opinions are bad ones. And I think, North America being taken down by North Korea is your translation of what we just read there. It makes 0 sense at all.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It makes absolutely no sense. There's a lot of stuff being added on here that just is very weird. So just be careful what people put in front of you and put a Bible verse next to it, because a lot of times when you see that, just go to the Bible verse, and when you look at it, then read the couple verses before, a couple after, read the chapter before, that chapter, and the chapter after, and you'll see that that's not what it's talking about at all. At all. No.
Yep.
Sorry. So just to show guys, there's a lot of weird stuff out there. Actually, let's go to the next picture. So I think this gives a better. All right. 7 seals of tribulation. White horse, red horse, black horse, pale horse, and then we're going to get into the last 3 later. This is legitimately what it's talking about in Revelation. I don't see North Korea on this list because there was no North Korea. You know what I mean?
No, I'm with you.
The only one out of those first 4 on that list that I could possibly agree with would maybe, and then that's like 20%, on that being the Antichrist is the white horse, and that's something that we'll get into later in the Antichrist video, because I don't think that the beast has been released yet, as far
No.
as in a linear context. So that's
Right.
so unless we're getting unless it's prophecies that are happening in different orders, which a lot of people think. I don't see that as being the Antichrist. I mean, it possibly could be, but that I don't know what or who that could be, because you have the lamb there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if
He's
the lamb wasn't there opening the seals, I wouldn't have any problem with that being Jesus, right?
right.
But he's there opening the seals. So is he opening the seals and riding on the white horse?
It's I
And
really like.
I'm asking questions. I'm
Oh
asking
yeah,
questions. I'm not
yeah.
trying to say that it's not, because then you got, like I said, you guys might have a better answer than me. Put it down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think. I don't know, man. I
No,
really don't know on that. So
I
I think that's the most intelligent thing I can tell you, is that I don't know for sure.
I think that's the most honest and respectable answer that anybody could give. But when it comes to these four spirits of the heavens we see in Zechariah, according to the horses, my current sort of more or less opinion on the matter of what these horses are is, if you're familiar, and I'm sure you are, Austin, of the verse in Psalms that talks about the sweet influences of Pleiades. My current opinion, where I'm at right now, is that perhaps these horses, with the exception of the fourth one, that's where this theory falls apart, is more or less influences, right? He's opening these seals and there's influences coming from these spirits. And so where I'm kind of leaning at right now is that white horse with the crown and going forward to conquer is, humanity actually conquering in their triumphs of furthering their own existence and technological advancements, civilization advancements, medicine, whatever have you. And you typically see a stark decline after people go up high. You know what I'm saying? You have this increase of human resource, or whatever you want to call it, human advancement, let's call it that. And then we battle over it. We fight each other over it. We're fighting over cures for cancer, or rights to money, rights to oil, whatever it may be. Big wars take place. Famine comes out. Now, where my theory, I believe, starts to fall apart is that death and hell are capitalized in Revelation. I'll go over there and just show that real quick. Is that death and hell are capitalized, and later on, both of these, I'm just going to call them entities.
Fire.
Yeah, they're cast in lake of fire. And so this is where my theory starts to fall apart, is that this can't just be influences if the riders on the fourth horse is death and hell. Now, in contrast to Zechariah, where you can, I guess, present the argument that grizzled and bay would be pale, and the fact that you have grizzled and bay would be death and hell, right? But you don't see the red horses here. So I'll show you, I know you're with me here. Zechariah 6:6. Now, the black horses go in forth into the north country. The white horses go after them. But the grizzled go toward the south country, and the bay went forth and sought that they might walk to and fro through the earth, which is almost kind of like Satan and Job. And he said, get you hence. Yeah, walk to and fro through the earth. So they walk to and fro for the earth. Well, here's my issue here, is that as we continue down, somebody stop me when you see the red horse. Where do the red horses go? So it's almost like it's not just war in Israel, it seems to be war all throughout the earth. If indeed the horseman in Zechariah is, synonymous with the horses in Revelation.
Well, we talk a lot about the horsemen, and usually we have a lot more clips, but guys, there was not a whole lot of quality out there. Not a whole lot of quality on the teachings, not a whole lot of quality. I think a lot of times guys go like, this is my best guess, I'm gonna put it out. Which is honestly kind of what we're doing tonight, is just giving it our best shot, because I don't think anybody's completely sure on this. Some of the older commentaries you read try to liken it into Rome and everything else, and if you're a preterist, then sure. I mean, I think that would probably make sense to you. But if we're looking at this from a the millennial reign hasn't happened yet point of view, a pre-millennial point of view, then which we are, by the way, at least currently, then this, that can't be. So let's look at, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and just get a good visualization of these horsemen.
Let's do it.
And this is like an AI video that we found, but we thought it was really cool and they did a good job on this. So let's check this out.
Let's do it. Man, it is some really cool visuals there, and there's a lot that comes to the imagination when you see this. I mean, just
cool little visualization just to show, you're talking about it so much.
So cool. I mean, right here, I'm no secret about everybody who's been watching for a while knows I'm a big fan of martial arts. Austin's a big fan of martial arts. It's something that we really, really enjoy. I've been training for 12 years. I've been teaching for 8, 9 years or whatever. And when I hear great sword, dude, how bad I just want to see what that sword looks like. I just want to know what do you mean by a great sword? What is it? What makes it so great?
And that one and that flaming sword that the angel has in Genesis at the entrance of Eden.
Yeah.
Be cool to. Now, if you guys go back and look at our, I think it was in Genesis 3, that video, I made sure to put that flaming sword in that thumbnail. So just so you know, I'm telling the truth. Yeah, I've always been fascinated by that. So
Goliath's sword too, the one that David goes and buys. He says there's none like it, talking about Goliath's sword. And as a man, I've been studying the Japanese sword crazy amounts from a large, more than a third of my life. And it's I would love to know what Goliath's sword looks like, dude. I just when David says
in the house, I pull out my copy of the 5 rings. Like, I keep that over there on the desk, and the art of war and all that. But neither here or there. I've always found it fascinating, these like spiritual weapons.
Me too.
Even in like the Vedic text, in the Hindu text, when it talks about the Vimanas and hurling, basically missiles at the earth.
Right.
I've always found all that type of stuff fascinating. I guess that's just a male thing. But let's see, as we go down here, famine with the scales.
Mm-hmm. And
now,
this is
what you were saying with your idea, I see where you're coming from. What I feel like is that these are like primers, and they're what God uses to either bring apart His wrath or bring apart His will. He will bring these things on a sinful earth or a sinful nation, and I think there's precedence for that, and we're going to get into that a little bit now. Can we go to passages in Ezekiel just to show that? Now, I'm a little confused about the white horse and who that could be or what that could be, but I think as we look in Ezekiel, we see that God uses these same plagues or these same forces to bring about what He wants, or to prime the earth for the end times, like in Revelation that I said that earlier. Now, can we go over to the NIT or the NLT?
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
This one, because it says it a little more plain, and you get like the list right in a row.
Yeah. So to understand what you're saying that perhaps these horsemen have been used maybe before. You're saying that this is something that is just in His arsenal, the same way He would use the angel of death on Egypt or Assyria or whatever.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm not dogmatic on any of this, guys. This is some of the hardest things to nail down in the entire scripture. But I see these patterns happening over and over and over again. Now, here in 5:16, it says, I will shower you with deadly arrows of famine. So there's that famine. That's that third horse, okay? and the famine will become more and more severe until every crumb of food is gone. Along with the famine, wild animals, that's from the fourth horseman there, will attack you and rob you of your children. Disease and war, so that's second horseman and pestilence. Disease and war will stalk your land, and I will bring the sword, second horseman, war, of the enemy against you. I, the Lord, have spoken. So
Mm-hmm.
arrows, the first horseman has the bow, so that would naturally arrows. You see famine there, which would be the third horseman. You see war, which is the second horseman. With I will bring the sword of the enemy against you. So there's the sword that the second horseman has, and the wild animals was included in death and hell, and the fourth riders, or the fourth rider, death. So you see everything that those riders of the horses bring mentioned right here in Ezekiel 5:16 and 5:17. And I thought that was very, very interesting. And this is talking to Jerusalem, the people that are in Jerusalem after Judah was taken captive. Um, so I wanted to point that out, that that's all laid out there in those two passages. And we moved to the NLT just so it shows it a little more clearly. I don't know, Bronson, what do you think about that? Because it's all lumped in right together, almost as that he's using all those same things that are used in Revelation, and when it mentions the horseman.
No, I love what you're doing. I wanted to pull up this verse here in Isaiah 43:19, where and I'll get to it in just a second. Honestly, you're spot on in my opinion in regards to God seems to have things that he does, and he doesn't often expand on those things. You know what I'm saying? For instance, in uh, Caleb's time and Joshua's time, he does things like go forth and discomforts the tribes. You know, you see these operations and ways that he interacts with human beings, and he seems to have certain faculties and offices and patterns that he sticks to. And I wanted to point out that in Isaiah 43:19 is one of the few places that I know of that says, "Behold, I will do a new thing." And to my understanding, what that new thing is he's gonna, bring the Gentiles in. He's giving it off a prophecy that I'm gonna bring in more people, and this is gonna be a new thing here. And it is a new thing. It's the new covenant, right? So,
Right.
um, it's very rare that I know of, and please in the comments correct me if I'm wrong, because this episode is almost more of like a podcast where you and me are talking and having
Yeah,
fun,
and that's
so
exactly what we're doing. We're talking about this, and in my opinion, that's the best thing for us to do, is to talk about this, let our community talk about this, and let's hash this out and get to the bottom of it. Because even the greatest minds in Christendom, and you may think that you haven't figured it all out, but I mean, a lot of the guys we looked into are the most highly respected in all of history when it comes to stuff like this, and they didn't have it all figured out.
Mhm.
And just humbly, we don't have it figured all out either, guys. So we're kind of bringing it to you guys and showing you guys what we have found, and we'd appreciate it if you show us what you have found, and what maybe some resources that we overlooked, or maybe some passages we overlooked in it, and just let's have a conversation about it, because this is very, very hard to nail down.
It sure is, man. It sure is.
But
And
finding this here in Ezekiel, it almost seems like this is just another pattern of God. You see where he, when people, he tries to get people's attention with prophets. He tries to get people's attention, and the people harden their heart. And eventually God says, okay, well, I'll harden it for you, like he did with Pharaoh. And we see that in several other passages where he hardened the heart of the people. And then after uh, the plagues, or after his anger or the punishment comes down on the people of Jerusalem or the people of Israel, after that, the people that remain, he softens their heart, so they will listen to his voice. And this is something that happens in the Bible several times.
yeah,
So that's another pattern, but it seems to be patterns here. And right here in Ezekiel 5:16 and 5:17, we see all the things that are attributed to what comes when the horsemen are released, happening right here all together in these two verses. And I don't think that's a coincidence.
I don't think so either. And I'm really glad that you brought that up about the hardening hearts and the way God moves, because a
Yeah.
lot of times you can see differences between micros and macros. And I think if we're all being honest, that's happened to all of us. I mean, maybe somebody else out there is perfect, but for me, I've certainly had a hardened heart in many matters and many concepts in regards to God's law or following commandments or understanding grace, that I'm not saved by my actions and all that. And
Yeah.
those were places that I ended up having to fall and being broken down. And the only way to get back up is with, a hand up from Christ. And yeah, I think you did a great job of saying that, dude. And I think if we all look internally, there's something to that there. Um, you want to talk about this verse too, because it seems like it's in correlation to what you're putting out
Yeah.
there.
And
Yeah.
right here, Ezekiel 14:21. For thus saith the Lord, how much more will I send my four sore judgments? There's that four again, upon Jerusalem, the sword and the famine, the noisome beast, so the wild beast, and the pestilence, to cut off from it man and beast. So we're seeing these used again, these four sore judgments.
Mm-hmm.
This seems to be a pattern here.
Right.
It absolutely seems to be a pattern here. Now let's go back to Revelation and let's look at this.
Sure. Yeah. And I think it's cool. It's not just some of my judgments. He says my four judgments. It seems like this is a tool in his belt. It's in his arsenal.
Yeah, it seems like this is something that comes, and we could try and tie this into some of the plagues of Egypt. I know we had talked about that before, but that may be something we just have to circle back to and then tie it in more, because it's tough to do.
Yeah.
All right, so let's look at. All right, so you have famine, death. Yeah. War, famine, death, and under death. Let's go down to death.
Mm-hmm.
And we keep references. You see down there at the very bottom, and with beast of the earth, the noisome beast, wild beast will kill you and eat your children, basically.
Yeah.
Kill with sword and death. Yeah, I mean, it just seems like that this is the pattern here.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And even when it goes into famine, part of famine is the lack of food, and obviously war and everything's going to do something like what you said. If the salt guy gets killed, nobody's got salt, and now you can't preserve your meat, and everything sucks. But tying in a little bit of what you said about Egypt and the plagues there, dude, if you have a season where the bugs are just overpopulated and your crops are gone, I walked outside my house 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I've got 5 peach trees, right? And one of them was just beautiful. The peaches were plump and they were round, and it wasn't going to be too much longer before they were going to be perfect. I walked out this morning, I had like 2 peaches left. I don't know what's eating them, squirrels, birds, rabbits, whatever, but those things get in the way, man. And they're great creatures and I love them, whatever. They serve their purpose and everything. But man, if they don't eat all of my food, and so
Right.
it's a part of it, is that when it talks about and with hunger, down here in death, part of that is the fact that, obviously, measures of barley and everything. I understand that well and good. But part of that could also be with what these beasts and the creeping, crawling thing are doing, is that they're eating some of your food. And God is just so cool. I'm sure, because you're well versed in the matter, you've probably heard the argument of, well, the Egyptian plagues is a perfectly scientific explanation as to what happened there between the flies and the frogs and the lice and the this and that. And there is a perfect.
Explain to me scientifically how magically everybody's firstborn dies.
Yeah, exactly right. Now that's a big fact there, my friend. But even if you did have some type of explanation for everything, which, I mean, they present a decent case, I understand it, but God just hooks it up that way. And whether you want to look at it like binary code 10110, whatever, is that it's hooked up the way that where God says, once the frogs come in, they're there to eat the flies, and all this stuff moves together. It's all hooked up in this amazing way, and we see it every time we walk outside. When just the water cycle alone is just an amazing thing.
Yeah, how ecosystems all perfectly mesh together, and some people actually believe that nothing exploded and then created all this thing that works in perfect harmony and symmetry. To me, it's just laughable.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you believe in our God, or you believe in the Anunnaki or whatever, I think the only intelligent viewpoint is intelligent design. I don't
Yes.
believe that
It's,
sorry, but if you believe that nothing exploded and became everything that works in perfect symmetry, I'm sorry. Um,
even the laws of physics go against that. I mean,
I have a moon train to nowhere to sell you. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
beach
dude.
property in Kansas.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, guys, but the only real viewpoint is intelligent design. Just who you believe the intelligence was that designed this place. When you really get into it and look at how everything works together, and yes, there's adaptation, yes,
Mm-hmm.
but everything works in harmony for the most part. Um,
It
I
really
just want
does.
you to think that, but neither here or there, man. This fourth horse, see, to kill with the sword, and a fourth of the earth was given over to it.
That's what gets me here too, is the fourth part. Now, we've talked about when people say, well, this is all Roman Inquisition or whatever, this is spiritual beings. I've said influence, you've said primers. One theory that I found out there that was not uncommon was that perhaps these are the four winds, because we saw in Zechariah, they come between the mountains, where the two mountains meet, and the
Yeah.
mountains are made of brass. And I don't know of any mountains in the earth that are
Well,
high
let me pull something up real quick. Hold on one second. Excuse me one second, guys. I got to grab something so I can read it.
Yeah, please do, man. But thinking that perhaps these are similar to the four winds is very interesting. When we were to go on down maybe into the next verse, or excuse me, the next chapter, you see here, after these things, I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And people have proposed that perhaps these horsemen are the four winds. And it's very interesting the way that they put their argument together. I don't necessarily think that I agree with it, though, because the you see things later on in the seals where there's actual damage to the earth, and we're going to kind of avoid some of those extra seals tonight. But if you were to continue down in this chapter, you would see that there's great earthquakes and things of that nature. But I wanted to at least point it out there, that in case you wanted to put it in the comments, we did see it, we are aware of it. Now, if you have a great argument for it, and it's something that you have well studied out, and it's something you put a lot of weight into, I'd love to hear from you and have a good explanation. Um, my Some of my resources that I had for Jehovah's Witness text was saying something very, very similar. That these four horses very well could have been the four winds that stand on the edge of the earth. And maybe there is something to it when you go into Zechariah, that these are the four spirits of the heavens, which go forth from standing before the Lord of all the earth, and that these other horses, the bay horses down here in verse 7, they walk to and fro through the earth, and some of them go north, and another one follows it, and another one goes south. But there is also an east wind, and it's mentioned quite often in the Bible. My fiance and I did a fun study on it about 6 years ago or something like that, where we wanted to see all the different winds, and we found something that was very neat to us in the Bible, that more often than not, the connotation behind the east wind is that of foolishness. And it was very interesting to go through and see that when the east wind blows, it seems to have a biblical connotation that have you ever felt when the wind blows, it just gives you a different type of feeling? It's just kind of joyous, almost folly, kind of lightens you up on your toes a little bit. You ever felt that type of wind? It's like, God, that is a good breeze. That's not a normal breeze. There's almost like a vibe to it. It makes you feel really good. The east wind is described like that, at least in the King James Bible, that there's a sense of playfulness to it, and it often is in correlation to foolishness in the Bible, that you start not thinking so clearly, and I will boost him up with the east wind. And so perhaps maybe there is something to that when it comes to these horsemen, although I don't see any characteristics in the horsemen showing anything along the lines of a foolishness, a folly, or affecting somebody's mood or personality. But at least it's something I wanted to bring up, because there are opinions out there. And even if I don't necessarily agree with them, they are studied out, and there are people that believe it. And here at Ancient Echoes, we do try to at least give most of the opinions that we found some type of platform to speak upon. As we've spoken many times in the past, that when Austin and we stepped out of the church, we found ourselves in a world full of all these different beliefs, and some of them were so brand new, whether there was I don't know, Judaism, Muslim, Black Hebrew Israelite, or whatever. And we believe here at Ancient Echoes, it's good to at least know other people's beliefs so that you can better know your own, how to have conversations. So, awesome, man. Good to have you back.
Yeah, yes, sir. All right. So you mentioned these four winds, and I'd like us to go to, I don't know if you have the translation here on Blue Letter Bible. You're in the right chapter. You're right here. Do you have the Complete Jewish Bible as one of the translations here?
I have acronyms. So if you see,
this would be it would be CJB.
I have CSB. No, I don't. I have CHT.
Okay, so let's go down to we can just stay in the King James then. Let's go down. You're right here at it. So let's go down to chapter 3.
Verse 3 or chapter 3?
Verse 3, excuse me, sir.
Uh-huh.
All right, so this is 3 going into, oh no, I'm sorry, 4.
Okay.
And right there it says, and I answered and said unto the angel, talk to me, what are these, my Lord? And the angel said unto me that these are the 4 spirits of the heavens which go forth and from standing before the Lord of all the earth. Mm-hmm. Okay, now I'm going to read that to you right here, starting at verse 3. No, I'm sorry, verse 4 in the Complete Jewish Bible. Okay.
Okay.
I asked the angel speaking with me, what are these things, my Lord? The angel answered me, these are the 4 winds of the sky that go out after presenting themselves before the Lord of all the land. So in the Complete Jewish Bible, it calls these four chariots here. It calls them these are the 4 winds of the sky that go out.
Wow. Okay.
So that's what it says in the Complete Jewish Bible. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to send you a screenshot just so we can share it with everybody. I'm going to go ahead and send it to our email.
Okay. And, thank you very much.
Because I like to at least let everybody see that, hey, these guys don't make these things up. This is exactly where it was. Now, when we were studying this out, I did see that. And I know we talked about where do they keep getting this 4 winds from? Where do they keep getting that from? That, the 4 horsemen are the 4 winds. So after looking at it, that is the only place I could find a reference to it. And whether you think the chariots here in Zechariah are the 4 horsemen in Revelation, that's up to you. But a lot of commentaries compare the 4 horsemen in Revelation to the 4 winds, and that's the only correlation I could find was that translation in the Complete Jewish Bible. I'll tell you what, let's look up the definition here.
Sure.
In Zechariah 6:5. And let's see what it says exactly. And then after that, we can pull up the email and show in the Complete Jewish Bible what it said.
I'm going to take a $5 bet and say it's breath.
Ruach. Yeah. Ruach.
Wind, breath, mind, spirit, breath, wind of heaven, breath of air, gas, vein, empty thing, spirit, as which breathes quickly in animation or agitation.
So 4 winds would not be a poor translation there at all. It seems to be the
synonymous. Yeah. Let's go down to the lexicon.
The Holy Spirit is the Ruach HaKodesh, right?
Yes, exactly right. Hold on, there's a lot more here. As a seat of organ or mental acts, rarely of the will, as seat especially of moral character. It's rare that you see just this many things here. And I know some of these are, maybe you would call them additions, because that's, not even going to start that conversation today. If you're watching and not listening, not even going to go there. All right. By resemblance of breath, exhalation, life,
A
Yeah,
region
where
of the
is
sky.
Shekinah in the Bible?
Oh, dude, I stepped on the foot now.
Yeah, sorry, bro. That irritates me so bad.
Oh, me too, man. And it's all over TVN, and some of my greatest loved ones have.
Yeah, it's Kabbalistic.
Yep.
And
Right here,
Anyway.
I mean, in your lexicon, it says spirit or breath of the mouth, and so I don't. Yeah, I mean, maybe there's something to that, man. These spirits of the. Okay, well, maybe I should re-identify some of my thinking upon the matter. That perhaps maybe these are the winds. You know
Well,
what I'd like to do?
let's-
Can we go to Revelation and see what wind is, and see if wind is ruach?
sure.
I just because that would be quite the connection to
That was
make.
right here at the four winds of the earth. Yeah,
Uh-huh. I just want to, if that's ruach, man, then
yeah,
that's
it's gotta be.
it's
I don't know
got
what other word it could be.
holding the four anemos.
Oh, well, okay.
Now, remember though,
from Greek,
Revelation is
yeah.
coming from Greek. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Let's remember that. You have your Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. Revelation's going to be in Greek. Zechariah is not. Wind, violent agitation, stream of air, tempestuous wind. The four principal or cardinal winds, hence the four corners of heaven. I'm looking for anything that says spirit here. Breathe, yeah. Violent agitation or stream. The wind's blue, the wind's blue. If you're listening and not watching right now, we're just going through a lot of verses here that use the same code, G417. And I'm just looking to see if there's anything there that has anything to do with spirits. Gather the elect. Now, here we go. Matthew 24, and that's an incredibly famous chapter, end times, all that stuff. He shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet. That's not today's episode. But they shall gather together his elect from the four winds and from one end of heaven to the other. Maybe it's time to redo a study on wind. As I was speaking when you were absent, that this was something that Connor and I did. My fiance's name is Connor. I promise it's a woman, and we did something on. It's anyway, we did this study years ago and looked at all the west wind, north wind, south wind, east wind, and I am just maybe there's more to this, and I need to go back. That would be maybe a fun other little kind of podcast episode where we just sort of have
a lot
fun.
that we can do with that. I mean, the prince of the power of the air, you know.
Oh, yeah, good point. Very good point.
Let's go to the email real quick and pull up that verse from the Complete Jewish
Sure.
Bible so we can show that to everybody. And
Sure. I'm gonna press my refresh real quick. Screenshot. Okay. Zoom this in. Boy, would it zoom in. All right. Mountains of bronze. So we're back in Zechariah 6. The first chariot had red horses. The second chariot black. Third chariot white. Fourth chariot.
your red horses.
Yes. I just don't see them going anywhere. If you found something, let me know. I asked the angel speaking with me, what are these? The angel answered me, these are the four winds of the sky that go out after presenting themselves before the Lord of all the land. Okay. Can I put this out there, though? Because we do see that one horse wants to go to and fro. I made the connection to Satan and Job, but these go out after presenting themselves before the Lord of all the land. We see in Job, Satan presents himself before the Lord.
Let's scroll down a little bit and see what it says. See,
Scroll down, yeah.
Going to the land of north, the white horses have gone out after him, and the spotted have. Yeah, sorry. Screenshots, guys.
No worries at all, bro. No worries at all. I got to tell you, I'm having a really good time doing this. If this is a very different type of episode, I wouldn't even call this a commentary, but man, this is actually, I enjoy the investigative side of things. And this type of content will probably be what we have on our membership program down the road or Patreon or something. Because I understand maybe not everybody wants to just sit around and listen to you and I talk, but if these type of discussions, but if these type of discussions intrigue you and you'd like to get involved and let us know what you think and put your opinions down there, maybe it'd be,
you'd be more inclined to put your opinion in a membership program or in a group where you know that.
Either that or a live, man.
Yeah.
Just when we have these discussions, you guys can comment on the live section, and we can see what you're saying in real time, and we can kind of work things like this through together, because this is very heavy stuff. But we wanted to show you guys what we had found, and we go ahead and kill the screen share, bro.
Sure.
We wanted to share, what we were looking at with these four horsemen, and just show a little bit what we've been seeing. And we kind of hit a wall on exactly what we can, there's not a smoking gun that's like, hey, this is definitely it. But we saw that, God uses those as the four sword judgments, in Ezekiel, and in Ezekiel before that, and in chapter 5, it shows them all four together there, is what God's using to bring judgment on Jerusalem. So it's, and then you see the four winds, there's a lot of stuff here. So we're interested to see what you guys think. And, going forward, when we have these type of discussions, I think we'll do it on a live or a membership thing, but we wanted to, kind of reach out to you guys to tell us, what do you guys think is going on? What do you think the white horse is? Do you think that all of these have been opened already? I know the prevalent thought is that the first four seals have already been opened, and that we're sitting at either 5 or 6 right now. But yeah, so we wanted to bring that to you guys and show you a little bit of the research that we've been doing and looking into, and tell us what you guys think. Carlson, do you have anything to add before we get out of here?
Yeah, I understand that sometimes having an open public forum is kind of a shoot yourself in the foot, putting a target on your back type of thing. Is that there's lots of people that go through the comments, and they'll argue with you and stuff. But we did an episode not too long ago where you asked the viewers to type in 1, 2, 3 in the comments. I would go ahead and put this out there now. If this is the type of subject, or these type of more relaxed podcast style videos where we're open to discussion, if you're interested in these type of things and you'd be interested in maybe doing this in a live, like a live feed, or maybe in a membership program, would you type the words amen in the comment section? Just type amen and maybe a little hands up emoji or something like that, something fun. And if this is something that you're interested in, we can do this down the road, because I personally really, really enjoy this type of stuff. And it's better, in my opinion, I think, to have these conversations in more of a private matter, so that you're not open to the whole world where all the mean people come into the comments and just ruin your day and argue and spam you and stuff like that. So
yeah, there's a lot of people out there like that, and we're used to it. You know what I mean? Even in our own family that is supposed to be a Christian family, we catch a lot of hate for the things that we believe in, which, honestly, we just base everything on the Bible. But when there's not a smoking gun there, and it seems to be just a lot of opinions going on, there's not a firm footing that we're going to take a stand on and die on stuff like that. So if you see videos where it's a little more speculation, or we're asking you guys questions or anything like that, it's because we can't really find a firm footing on it. And so we're, checking back into the Old Testament and checking into the prophets and just kind of comparing and contrasting. And I think we got, some new stuff out there. With the four winds is something that's, you see it a little bit, but not a whole lot, but it is there. And the word, it is Ruach there. It was talking about the chariots. So let us know a couple things. Let us know who you think the white horse is. Let us know if you think that the chariots in Zechariah are the same as the four horsemen in Revelation 6. Let us know what you think. Let's go ahead and get a discussion going back and forth, and let's see what you guys think and see what we can come up with. And over the next few weeks, we'll kind of go over it a little bit. And after we finish the Genesis commentary, I believe we're going to dive right into a Revelation commentary. So let's get some answers out of the way now, and let's see what we're looking at, and maybe you guys can help us out, and then we'll return the favor. We're going to keep doing research on it, and let's just have a dialogue between all of us, guys, and let's see what we can get figured out here, and let's base it on biblical truth, and let's get a real good firm footing. Because as somebody who's been in the Bible my whole life and somebody in church, I've never really heard anybody that's had a super firm footing on this, that they always try to relate it to whatever is going on in their time. But times change. Things change. The Roman Empire is gone, guys. You know what I mean? Some of the teachings I heard in the 90s, a lot of those situations they were trying to relate to have all come and gone. So let's try and get a real good firm footing on this together, because we always say we're not your teachers or anything like that. A lot of the people that watch this are older than us, and some people a lot more seasoned than us. So let's learn this together, and let's go ahead and get this out there and get a real firm footing for the church.
Amen, brother. Man, the only hill I ever choose to die on is Calvary, bro. That's the only one I'll fight to the death on. Is just the virgin birth.
I won't lie. I got a few of them that I'll die on. I'll die on that hill defending, because I believe the Bible says specifically. But if it doesn't say specifically, I'm open to hear it. Yeah, I'm open to it. There's a few things in the Bible that it says specifically that the church doesn't adhere to. I won't get on my high horse right now, but if it says specifically, like in over 250 verses, certain things specifically, I'm gonna die on that hill. I'm gonna believe what the Bible says.
But Ten Commandments, we're Ten Commandments people, and Austin and I do one of the craziest things you can do, like observe the Sabbath day, and we actually follow the 10 Commandments. But I guess it's not the episode to go down that route. But
right. Let's not get on the hills. See, you got some hills too.
I do.
Right. But I mean, if the Bible says, the Bible says. But when you get into things like this, we want to bounce some things off you guys, and give us some more. I don't even want to say rabbit holes, but give us some more paths that we can go down and look into, and that'll give us some arrows in our quiver for the Revelation commentary that's coming up. And it won't be soon, but let's go ahead and get some things hashed out now. And I thought this was a good idea to just bring it to you guys. We've been doing a lot of research on this and digging, and we found a lot of things that we could have shown, but a lot of it's like that slide that we showed. North Korea is what it's talking about with the fourth seal, which is just cuckoo to me. But there's a lot of that. A lot of the Roman Empire stuff just didn't seem quite right to me that's in some of the earlier commentaries. So we'll bring it to you guys. And with that, guys, Bronson, you want to close this out for the night?
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much for your viewership, your support, your patience and understanding. Austin and I are so grateful, so humbled, and so appreciative of you guys hanging out with us. We're just two normal dudes. We enjoy the Bible. We love Jesus Christ, and we really enjoy doing these videos together. And the amount of following that we've seen, interaction that we've seen, it just floors us, man, because we're just two normal dudes. But that being said, these two normal dudes, we'll see you next time on Ancient Echoes.